Okay. Again, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly due to the Most High, Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I want to say peace to you in the name of his son, Yehoshua HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ. Coming on back again. I didn't do a lesson yesterday, so I'm going to do two today. And this one is on choosing the right mate. Choosing the right mate. The most important decision that you can make as an individual is who you're going to walk this life with. And when it comes to the word, you can choose somebody who would cause you to go astray and make that walk more difficult. And talking to brothers, sisters, you see that at times when you hear what's going on, oftentimes they are in situations where they choose and they didn't choose wisely. That's one thing. See, the Bible, when we come into the truth, oftentimes we don't know what it means to be a man. We don't know what it means to be a woman. We don't know what it means even to be a child. We don't know what it means to be a husband. We don't know what it means to be a wife. We don't know what it means to be a mother. We don't know what it means to be a father. We don't know. And so, but people steady getting married and choosing people. Why? Because hey, they picking them for all the wrong reasons. People making. I give you an example of this. One of most the craziest things you ever want to see is this people popping balloons, choosing people based on their shoes, choosing people. I didn't like the quote unquote vibe. That haircut is not doing it. Sister, your shoe, your feet leaning over your shoe. You clenching with all your might, your toes, your shoes too small. I didn't like that outfit. What are you talking about? That's the kind of foolishness that people, choosing people to be with people, and people say, well, that's an extreme. It's not too extreme because people do make superficial decisions. They don't know, and that's why it doesn't work. Because you choose the wrong person, you chose for the wrong reason, and then you're not even committed to stick with what you chose. And so it's important that first and foremost, to choose wisely. That's men and women. You need to choose wisely. Let's go to Genesis, the sixth chapter. Because the Bible talks about, now it talks in context, it's talking about, individuals. It's not even talking about a mate, but people use being unequally yoked. They also, you want to be unequally yoked, you don't want to be unequally yoked. They use that in a very general sense. But the point is being made, you don't want to be with somebody that you shouldn't be with. Okay? If you're on the path of righteousness, you don't want to just choose somebody that's not walking the same path. And to see that, let's go to Genesis 6 because there's always consequences for that. And here you see the first example of this. This is Genesis 6 and verse 1. It says, and it came to pass when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now these sons of God are not angels; these are men, and these men chose of the righteous lineage from that was reestablished with Seth, started marrying women that were of the unrighteous lineage that was established with Cain. And so what that did was breed sin. Okay, people say, well, this is talking about angels. Angels are not, you read in Matthew 22, angels are neither married nor are given in marriage. I have lessons on this, but we said, where did the giants come from? Well, it also had men of renown. So who is that? You got men of renown described in the Bible. This is after the after the flood. You got giants after the flood. You got giants right now. I'm sure they're playing in one of these major cities right now. The whole league of them called the NBA. So now that's not talking about that. But he says something right after that. He said, God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually, and repented the Lord that I had made man, that he had made man and on the earth, and he grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. So, like, he told you that then. Why? Because if you going in one direction and then Your spouse is going in the opposite direction. It's a tug and pull. It's tug of war. You going this way. No, we going this way. Why deal with that? Why about y'all going the same direction? Especially in a union like marriage. That's not something you want to do. And when I see it and people make decisions, I want to get married. And you be like, why do you want to get married? A lot of times it's quite frankly, it's fleshly reasons. But that's not what you want to base a marriage on. You got to look at that person for the rest of your life. You're supposed to. But nah, man, it's too much. It's too, burning in your loins. I just want to get married. And you got all kind of shenanigans going on. When the reality is you need to be thinking clear with a clear head when you talking about getting married. Deuteronomy 7th chapter. You're a believer. You can't just marry anybody. That's just a reality. This is Deuteronomy the 7th chapter and verse 1. It says, now this is what he told his people that was sanctified. He said, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. Now, why? Why did he say that? It can't be just because they have another nation, because that's not what's said here. Furthermore, it can't be that if you look, just for example, if you ever look at the law concerning war brides, those are women of other nations that a man could take as his wife. If you can't marry somebody of another nation, how do you explain that? Because this isn't about them being of another nation per se. It's about them being pagans, worshiping falsely. It said, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. You see that? Hold your finger here. Well, we're going to go to the book of Ruth. Notice, so now Ruth, notice what it says about Ruth, who was a Moabitess. Okay, this is Ruth chapter 1, and now she married an Israelite man. Her husband died. She was a widower. She ended up, the story. If you read it, she ended up staying with her mother-in-law. She had a sister-in-law. Sister-in-law went with her back to her home people after her husband died. She cleaved unto her mother-in-law, went back to her people, and who are the Israelites. And notice what she said. This is Ruth 1:16. Because she tried to tell her, go back into your own people. I ain't got no more sons. And if I did have a son, I could have a son right now, because she was up in age. She said, hey, you gonna wait for him to be old and to be marriageable age? Notice what Ruth said. Ruth chapter 1 and verse 16. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. So that's different from what talking about in Deuteronomy 7. And when you look at that lineage, who was eventually born out of that lineage was none other than David. You read that in Ruth 4:22. Okay? So what is it talking about? You don't want to deal with somebody who is worshiping falsely. And that's always going to lead to you. That's going to be detrimental to you. This is First Kings 11. You don't want to go into those situations. Sometimes you find the truth, understand, and you're in the truth and your spouse is not. You find you're already married. You found it. You never know. And I've seen this. I've seen it to where one person in the truth, they started out not in the truth. They married though. One come into the truth. Then after a while, some kicking a little bit, then the spouse comes into the truth. Now they're in the truth together. You understand? And I've also seen this. I've seen this to where somebody's married, one in the truth and one not, but they pleased to dwell with thee and still fulfilling their role as spouse. That could also be the case too. That's what Paul is talking about. But in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, let's see an example of how it could be detrimental to marrying somebody that you shouldn't. 1 Kings 11:1 says, but King Solomon loved many strange women. That's foreign women, right? But see, oh, so he married these foreign women. But if they were foreign women that were serving the Most High, then that's not a problem. Nevertheless, it says, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites and the Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. Then he tells you why, which people tend to leave out, which is key. He said, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Now Solomon had 700 wives. It says, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. See, that's the problem. So the wisest man to ever live, what happened here? He allowed these 1,000 women to turn his heart away. It'd been better for him to have no woman than to have one woman than to have 1,000 wives, and then they turn your heart from the Lord. It said, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place to Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem. He said, look what he's doing with this Moabite, the Moabite guy. But one thing that Ruth said, your people gonna be my people, and your God is gonna be my God. Not Chemosh, Elohim. Then it says, again, the abomination of Moab in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. That Molech, because they sacrificed their kids to Molech. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, again, that means foreign wives, which burn incense and sacrifice unto their gods. And how did the Lord feel about this? In verse 9 says, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord, God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. So he went after these false gods, he got all weak and trying to appease these foreign women, and they dealing with their false gods. And had commanded him concerning this thing that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Now what happened? Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. You know who that servant was? Jeroboam. See, the kingdom was split because of what Solomon did. There's consequences. So you're looking at what happened on a national level with the monarch. Understand the same thing can happen in your life. If you are led astray, I want to say, into doing whatever your spouse is doing that's false. Why make that decision initially? That doesn't make any sense. I've seen people do that. That doesn't make any sense. And then you got kids and end up, you see that's the division. You got one parent doing one thing and another parent want to celebrate Christmas. So now the kids confused. When it's already hard enough. If I'm talking to Nick, again, the initial choice, you want to choose somebody that's walking the same way you are. But me, I always said I wouldn't want a spouse that if I lost my mind and turned away from the Lord and went crazy, I would want a spouse to say, if it were me, I'd say, I want a spouse to say, well, I'm gonna pray for him, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep walking. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna keep walking. I'm gonna keep serving the Lord. And that's what you gotta do. But don't go into a situation where, again, this is initially you thinking about marriage, and you said, well, marriage is honorable in the bed of the foul, but whoremongers, fornicators and whoremongers, God will judge it. Yeah, we know that. But don't make a bad decision or an imprudent decision because of desire. You need to really consider. And with that, brothers and sisters, so as my prayer.